assistant coach. She will be joined by Jessica Timmons, a guard on the squad with high expectations once again for this year's team of head coach Christy Curry. We're also extremely excited to be visiting with Erwin Dudley, special assistant to head men's basketball coach Nate Oates. On the men's side of things, of course, Erwin, an all-SEC player, great student athlete at the University of Alabama, but has been a part of the staff in a couple of different roles and now taking on this new assignment on Coach Oates' staff. Look forward to visiting with him around 7 o'clock, along with another forward that's new to the roster this year, but expected to be a big piece of the puzzle as well in Taylor Bowen. But we're also very excited to have on with us tonight in our first half hour of the program, the new president of the University of Alabama, Dr. Peter J. Moeller, is going to be with us here live at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. So look forward to visiting with all of those guests this evening. Don't forget that J&J Apparel is your trusted source for Bama gear. New Alabama hats, T-shirts, and polos arriving daily. Visit online at jnjapparel.net or shop their retail store at 1926 University Boulevard in downtown Tuscaloosa. RTR with J&J. Probably have on a lot of that gear from J&J when you come to Tuscaloosa for the Vanderbilt game in a few weeks, and we wanted to remind you to join us at Vector Security Champions Lane. It's the best pregame fan fest in the country. We'll have our live radio broadcast to get things started 3 hours before kick. That's followed up by a free pregame concert featuring fan favorite Uncle Cracker. We'll also have the largest outdoor LED screens in Tuscaloosa, meet and greets with UA student athletes, food trucks, and of course ice-cold beer in Legends Lounge, where there's never a cover charge. Visit championslane.com each week for more details. And we want you to be a part of Game Day Done Right. That's the exclusive provider of reserved tailgating opportunities for University of Alabama. They've also got packages for all group sizes for a single game or the rest of the year. Visit them at GameDayDoneRight.com. We're talking Bama women's hoops when we come back on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome back to Hey Coach. It's presented by Alfa Insurance. We're at Baumhauer's Victory Grill, your big game headquarters this fall. For the 2025 football season, Baumhauer's has been voted best wings in Alabama and the #1 sports-themed restaurant in the state. They're featuring their fan favorites this fall that include the Raging Cajun Gooey Fries, Go Fish, the the Gooey Char Grilled Chicken Sandwich, and their scratch-made Cabo Wabo Tequila Margaritas. All you football fans, kick off your season in legendary fashion and make Baumhauer's Victory Grill your big game headquarters all season long. All right, we are pleased to welcome you back to the show and to welcome to the stage our first guest of the evening here on Hey Coach, Tennille Adams, women's basketball assistant coach at the University of Alabama, and Jessica Timmons, a guard who was such a huge part of last year's success. Ladies, thank you for the time. We appreciate you both being here.
Thank you for having us. Thanks for having us.
Coach, let's start with you. Year 3 at the University of Alabama, primarily work with post, and so in practice you got to find a way to keep this young lady from penetrating the basket defensively when you're going scout team or first team D against first team O. Not the same as in football, same 5 obviously. Absolutely. On both ends of the floor, but still I would imagine trying to keep her from the rim is not the easiest assignment.
No, not at all. So that's why we're so excited to have her back, and just the way she's able to see the floor and get to the paint. There's not many people that can stop her from doing that. My biggest responsibility is to make sure our bigs can catch the ball when she does get it to them. So, JT commands that, and so we don't want to get on her bad side that way. So
exactly.
I got to tell them they got to catch it when she passes it.
Understand. I'm not going to ask if that's an issue. I'm not talking about your teammates, but you're like, I don't want to give this ball up to begin with, but if I'm going to give it up, you better catch it, right? You better put some points on the board and get me the assist or give it right back where I can score, right?
Exactly, yeah. We've got some dominant post players.
For
like
sure.
I said, we got some newcomers coming in, Lourdes, Alancia. We have Essence coming back. So those are dominant players, and I feel like they can impact our team in a vital way to help us keep going and keep competing and make it to that tournament and go far in the tournament. So that's something I'm looking forward to doing.
Understandably so. Tennille Adams goes by Coach T, and that's just flows. It's a lot quicker to say it that way. So Coach, if you would, talk to me about how you've seen the program grow since your arrival, because you've been a big part of Coach Curry's staff, and how things have been able to continue to build to where now the expectation is the NCAA tournament, which is a good feeling, but comes obviously with responsibility as well.
For sure. It speaks to Coach Christie and Kelly and just the foundation that they built here. I think Coach is going into year 13, and I think she's got it to a point where the respect is here like it once was.
Sure.
Of those Alabama teams in the 90s. So I think we're garnering that type of respect. I think people are excited about our program, and it's also helped from a recruiting standpoint as well. So the last 2 years have been phenomenal for me. I think I caught it right when it was getting hot, and having an opportunity to coach Aaliyah and S.A. and Zay and some of the other ones and Carly and those guys, and being a part of that has been fantastic. So we're really excited about what we can do. I think we've set the bar and the standard, in terms of our culture and what it's supposed to look like every day.
You talked about the program being back where it was in the 90s. You know of which you speak, because you were trying to beat the tide. You were wearing a different shade, that Razorback red, when you were in Fayetteville in your playing days. But Alabama and Arkansas were both really strong programs then on the women's side, in addition to obviously what was happening with the men's programs. But talk about what you've seen in terms of trying to restore women's basketball here to the level that Rick Moody had it back in the day.
And, it's funny you say that, because he had an opportunity to spend some time with us last year doing an event. And the excitement that he had about our program, he can feel it in the way he spoke. He spoke as if our team was very similar and reminiscent of the teams that he had. And so we've done it, and we've done it the right way. We've done it with hard work. We've done it with being consistent. We have a great group of young girls who understand what Alabama women's basketball is about, and they wear that with pride. So, it's fun, and it's a lot of fun every day going in to coach those young ladies, and they show up and they respond.
Jess, talk to us about what drew you to the University of Alabama and what it's been like for you to see the growth during the time you've been here as well.
Yeah, that's honestly a full circle moment for me. I'm a transfer, and a lot of people question, like, where should I transfer or where should I be? And that's no question I had to make when I came here on my visit. My coaching staff, they were very honest to me and about the role that I would play. They did a great job recruiting and letting me know that I can fulfill things just outside of basketball. The connections, the resources, the camaraderie, and overall just knowing my team has my back, the coaches have my back is something that I look forward to. And then just understanding that Alabama women's basketball is on the rise. Like when I came in 3 years ago into last year and the mark that we made in March Madness, if everyone has watched that game, it's probably the most exciting game they've watched of women's basketball. Double overtime, and that just shows the heart and passion that our girls have to fight, and that's something that we're trying to live up to and bring back here at the University of Alabama.
When we come back, we're going to talk about what lies ahead for this team. Some great successes last year. We'll talk just a moment or two more about that, but we want to look ahead to what's coming for this squad as we continue from here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. We're talking with assistant women's basketball coach Tennille Adams and a guard on that squad who had a great season a year ago and expected to have great success this year as well. Jessica Timmons, they are our first guest of the night on Hey Coach here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome back to Hey Coach, presented by Alfa Insurance. We've got a few more minutes to visit with assistant coach Tennille Adams and standout guard for the Crimson Tide, Jessica Timmons. Everybody gets to see that this year. You came in, you had the injuries that the injury that you recovered from, got to work. I know that was tough, but tell me what you learned in the year of observing more than going through the daily grind, even though the rehab and the work you put in was probably even tougher in some ways.
Yeah. The first thing I learned is that faith plays a vital role in everything. If you don't have the right mindset going in anything that is dealing with adversity, you won't come out with the right mindset. So I took it as a positive lesson to not only listen to my body, but listen to those around me. I had a great coaching staff, still do, had some great teammates I can look at, and just understanding that my team's success is part of me, and just having the role, whether that was scrimmaging, being the best player for the scout team, that's what I did to give my girls the best look, and being that positive voice that the girls want to have on the sideline. So I just looked at that adversity piece in life as something positive, because everyone goes through adversity, and just understanding that this year I have something to prove, and just something that I'm looking forward to.
Coach, talk to me about what this young lady will be able to do hitting the ground running this year, given that a lot of transfers, they're hitting the floor and playing immediately.
Right.
She was in your program, and unfortunately because of the injury had to do a lot of watching. But she knows what's expected. You don't have to teach that to her. So being able to basically just turn her loose to go and be who she is, I've got to think is very reassuring.
No, absolutely. Her first year was my first year. And, she had worked extremely hard, ended up breaking into the starting lineup, and it became played a vital role for us that year. And it wasn't until she had hurt her knee during the SEC tournament versus SEC. So, and just to watch her, the way that she worked to get back, she worked like she was a person that had a goal in mind,
Right.
and she was relentless about it. And kudos to our staff. Kudos to Alicia and Kevin for working overtime to help her get back to a point where she's not even playing with a brace. Right. And JT looks like JT when she first transferred here. So, she took that year and became a student of the game, with breaking down film, with being a voice to our players and our team. And, she's also taking that role in this year, and becoming a lot more vocal and understanding what's needed from her, because she knows what that looks like. So we've been very pleased with her from that standpoint, and just very, very excited to have her here. Extremely loyal. When the season's over, all of our girls have an opportunity to do something different, and she chose to stay with Alabama. And that speaks to Coach Christie and Coach Kelly and just what they've been able to do, and her believing in our staff and our program.
Sure.
So.
Well, with the success that's been there, and we talked about this young lady and her opting to join the university just a few years ago, but for you on the recruiting trail, I would imagine that people are a little more attuned and attentive than perhaps they were before, because it's not just selling a theory of what you can be,
right.
It's proof of what you are now and where you still can go. I know, but 7 newcomers, 4 of them being freshmen, including a local player in Ace Austin, but boy, to have 7 new ones in to go with a really nice group of veterans has got to be something you're excited about.
We are, and those 7 have done a phenomenal job of just picking up on what we're doing. Our returners have done a really good job of teaching them and trying to guide them, and also being coaches on the floor and helping our newcomers with that transition. But we're really excited. We're excited about our transfers as well, because they're coming in with some experience. So to have Alancia, to have Tamia, and to also have, who am I thinking about?
Ace, Lourdes.
And to have those guys coming with us has been tremendous. So, but we really like our group, and we like our core, and they're picking it up, and they're doing everything they need to do to be prepared for the season.
You also like the fact you're actually able to get going here in less
absolutely.
than a week
as well. Yeah.
Just the off-season stuff. Let's just face it, not a whole lot of fun. It's a lot of work that's got to be done, and it doesn't have the payoff of knowing the next game is just a couple of weeks away or even a month away, as had been the case. But you start up on Monday. Couple of exhibition games in October. We're really excited about the twin bill against Florida State, balling in Boutwell at historic Boutwell Auditorium. That's going to be in mid-October in Birmingham. The women's team playing first, followed by the men's team, and then West Florida will be at Coleman Coliseum on October 26th. Just to finally get out there with your teammates. You've had workouts, but now it's the real thing. Got to be pretty exciting for you.
Yeah, very exciting. Like y'all mentioned, the players that we have coming in is something that I think everyone needs to be excited about. I'm eager to get on the floor. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to win. And I know that tournament you mentioned in Birmingham, everyone putting that together is going to be something great. The city of Birmingham brings in a lot of people, and that's just the time for people to come watch women's basketball if possible. So we want everybody out there if they can be out there.
Coach, I know for you as well, it's time. I mean, there's only so much you could do in the the preseason work, the off-season work, I should say. Now it's about seeing who this group really is.
That's right. And then to be able to play Florida State, as your opener with the exhibition games, that'll really give us a true test as to where we are this early in the season. So to be able to play that type of competition in October will definitely give us a leg up in our preparation for the rest of the season.
Coach, let's talk schedule briefly. You've got several chances for fans to see the Tide at Coleman, non-conference and conference play. But in the league, you got Oklahoma, Texas, and South Carolina all coming in. It will be nice to have them in the friendly confines of Coleman.
Oh, absolutely, and we expect everybody to come and show up. Those games are a lot of fun. We had an opportunity to get LSU at home last year, so we're looking to continue to do that with some of our opponents this year. And so the competition is stiff in the SEC. But to play those teams at home, we hope will give us a leg up.
All right, Jess, when you're not playing basketball, talk to me about what you're doing. What do you love to do outside of hoops?
So I'm with SAC, so I do a lot of community engagement, and the best thing I've done so far is read to little kids. They don't want to hear their librarian read to them every day, so just having student athletes come and read to them and letting us know that, hey, we've been in y'all shoes before.
Sure.
It's okay to read. It's okay to love education. So that's something that I've truly been loving, just reaching back to kids and being involved in the community as much as I can be.
That's a great answer, and I know that you would have given that answer anyway, but with the president of the University of Alabama sitting right out there, that was a great job on your part.
Answer.
That was very well done. Really good job. Coach and Jess, we appreciate you both so very much. We're excited about the upcoming season and appreciate you taking time to be with us tonight.
Thanks for having
us. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Jess Timmons and Tennille Adams, assistant coach for the women's program, kind enough to join us here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. We're coming back, and we're going to catch up on some other things going on within Alabama athletics. Still about 6 minutes away from Coach Kalen DeBoer joining us by phone here from Baumhower's Victory Grill. It's Hey Coach on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. back with you here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. Coming up in a little more than 5 minutes, we'll be talking with Kalen DeBoer, of course, head football coach at the University of Alabama. He joins us by phone this week at Baumhower's Victory Grill, and we will talk with him for about 15 minutes before we are joined by the University of Alabama's new president, Dr. Peter Moeller, will be joining us here live from Baumhower's Victory Grill. Want to remind you, for all the latest on Alabama athletics, you can go to the official website of the Crimson Tide. That's rolltide.com. Info such as a spotlight on the Crimson Tide of the NFL in Week 2, a match guide for the Crimson Classic volleyball tournament that's coming up starting tomorrow at the Capstone. Also, the Crimson Tide featuring a pair of runners of the week. The women's swimming and diving national U.S. junior national team has chosen a member of the Crimson Tide. We've got one of the top defensive players of the week in the SEC. All of those are pieces of information as well as schedules, audio, ticket info available online at rolltide.com. When we come back, we'll talk with Alabama head football coach Kalen DeBoer next on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Baumhower's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's time for the Kalen DeBoer Show on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. Presented by Alfa Insurance. Auto, home, life, business. Alfa Insurance covers it all. AlfaInsurance.com. Now with head coach Kalen DeBoer, here's Chris Stewart.
Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you with us from Baumhower's Victory Grill. This is, of course, a bye week after the Crimson Tide had another dominating performance against Wisconsin for the second consecutive year to move to 2-1 on the season. And during bye weeks, our head football coach joins us by phone here on the program, and that's why this segment has us saying, Coach Kalen DeBoer, welcome. Thank you for joining us, and talk to us about how the off week is spent for you and for the players with the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, you bet. Good to hear you from you, Chris. We get back right away on Sunday, and we make sure we cover everything we have to from the game and make the corrections and just kind of review that, get our workouts in, and then try to let the guys early in the week on Monday especially get to class. And that's normally our day off anyway, and now they've been working out, and we're getting back on the practice field here, the latter part of the week here. I just liked having those that day or two where they're a a little bit away and can take care of their business, get caught up with any school or whatever it might be, and it's good mentally and physically to kind of refresh. Our coaches are game planning. There's a lot of recruiting that's going on, whether it's earlier in the week or going to some games here on Friday. We got some coaching staff that will be out on the road even by tomorrow afternoon. So a lot going on, just everyone kind of doing their part.
Let's go back and talk about the victory over Wisconsin, because it was impressive. Coach, they punched a little from the start. They had a good stand defensively against your team right at midfield after your opening possession, but your defense able to set the tone with a takeaway. And I thought a couple of the things, not only the takeaways, but also the fact that you were able to keep pressure on the quarterback throughout the course of the game, especially when it was in question, major difference makers in that outcome.
Yeah, for sure. Just been challenging the defense to start fast. We hadn't really the first game, and then the last two games they've done a better job, and especially getting that takeaway right after we gave up the ball on downs there offensively. That was huge, just with the field position that Wisconsin had, and so our offense took off from there. And really, the first 6 possessions, our defense got 4 punts and 2 interceptions. It was actually a quick game, and offensively, I think we had 8 or 9 possessions total, 9 possessions, and after the first possession with the turnover downs, we got 5 touchdowns and a field goal. So didn't finish how we'd like, but it was a game that we did a good job executing, especially through about 3 quarters. So I'm proud of the guys and the effort. They put a lot of work in to have their minds right, and went out there and executed the plan.
Talk to me about Ryan Williams and what having him available meant throughout the course of last week for your offense. You've got other weapons, we know that, but there's only one of him, and having him available again is pretty special.
Yeah, and he just adds to the group that we have with the rest of the receivers, and he was chomping at the bit to get back out there, and you could see it through the week of practice, and it showed up on Saturday with the effort, and the playmaking that he brought. He's a home run hitter. He's a guy that can and will take anything and end up in the end zone, and so just adds another threat, balances out the defense. They can't just focus on guys like Germ or Isaiah. Lottie's been part of that mix now, and so it's good to have him back.
Ty Simpson, another great game statistically at 24 of 29 for 382, 4 touchdowns. Again, didn't give the football to the other side, which is obviously so important. Coach, you and I talked about it in taping the television show after the game. A couple of those throws were such tough, tight window passes. The more you've gone back and looked at it, does it make it even more impressive what he was able to do?
Yeah, just really proud of the way he's trusting his offensive line. He knows the timing and trust with the receivers, and so it just comes through reps. It comes through, practice is one thing, but when you know you're going to get hit, and you just know you got to hang on to it for that half a second longer, and once they're going to open up, he's starting to get that. And I think there was a third down play, the second drive, where he ripped it into Ryan Williams along their sideline on a corner route, and so that's the one that sticks out in my mind. And then I think it just built on from there. He did a nice job just taking what the defense gave us most of the game, but then also when he had to really step up and make a throw, he did that. And so a lot of trust being built, a lot of confidence that continues to be, I think, just built up within our team, not just the offense in regards to what Ty can do, but our whole team.
Coach, everybody wants to know about the run game, and certainly I know you'd love to have more than the 72 rushing yards you had on 22 attempts last Saturday. It's not the sole way you fix things, but I would imagine it's going to help tremendously to get your most experienced running back returning, or hopefully so. What can you tell us about the progress of Jam Miller and what he would bring to the table with the matchup against Georgia coming up in a week and a half?
Yeah, I think Jam just being a complete back, you're not, worried about protection responsibilities, whether it's both who he has or him getting the job done. And then obviously, like you're talking about with the run game, just the ability to run inside and outside. He's built up physically and, big body, but also can get outside and has good speed, so he's a threat that way and can catch the ball in the backfield. So just an all-purpose back, with so much flexibility and versatility that he adds a big piece to our offense. So a lot of confidence in him. He had a great fall camp until he got injured.
Coach, there were a lot of questions about the kicking game and obviously the busted coverage after the penalty forced you to kick off, I guess, from the 20-yard line in the game after you go up to start the second half with the big play to make it 28-0. I know that's something that you're not pleased with, but overall with your kicking game, what are you seeing through the first 3 weeks?
Yeah, first of all, with our kickoff team over the last year and a half, it's just been really one of our units that we've almost been bullish about, just feel really confident. So it's a good little wake-up call there for that unit. It's a lot of little things that just a couple people need to do better. We want that ball kicked to a little different spot, and then there's just a lot of pieces that play into when a ball is kicked that far downfield. There's a lot of space for the return, to get set up, and so we have to squeeze a little faster with a few guys and make the play that we've been making, more times than not with that unit. But yeah, Blake, has been consistent. Really, it was his first punt in Bryant-Denny, there at the end of the game. So needed to get him a look, or don't want to get him to work, but it was good to see him come through the way he did. And then I think Connor's been, pretty consistent too with, with his field goal and extra points. So as well as the kickoff. So we're in a good spot there. Just continue to get those guys more and more experience.
So we'll put it off. Talk to me about Georgia. Tell us what you've seen from the Bulldogs. I know we'll go more in depth next week, but just an overview of what we're going to see between the hedges coming up in a week and a half.
Yeah, sure. Just a balanced football team that's going to compete right till the very end. Doesn't matter if they're up or down. They're just going to keep playing and, going to have a good mix of run with pass. Just a balanced team in every way that you look at it. And so, a group that's got some experience, maybe a couple spots where there's some young guys in there, but quarterback with Gunnar Stockton already played some big games, whether it be at the end of the year last year or this last week. So he's got that experience and some new guys that are in the mix at some of the skill positions on offense, and a lot of the same numbers popping up on film at different spots though. So they know what it takes, and going over there, going on the road, it'll be a great test, a great challenge for us. And our guys, as we go through the week, I can already tell that they're excited about the new challenge, and just like the momentum that we're building, because that's what we really focus on. It's all about us.
Coach, we hope the bye weekend is a good one for you, the staff, and the players. We appreciate your time tonight. Look forward to talking to you next week in person back here at Baumhower's Victory Grill.
You bet. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Thank you. Coach Kalen DeBoer joining us from here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. Again, on bye weekends, we do the visit with Coach by phone, but we will have him back with us next Wednesday from 6:30 until 7:30 for Hey Coach. Once again, the show running from 6 until 7:30 each and every week during the year. Our program is brought to you in part by Alabama 811. To prevent injuries, outages, and loss of life, call 811 or visit al811.com before you dig. It's free, it's simple, and it's the law. And it's the president of the University of Alabama Dr. Peter Moeller joining us next on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. Get game day ready at Alumni Hall. It's your ultimate Crimson Tide shopping experience. Shop top brands, hats, accessories, and all your tailgating gear. Head to Alumni Hall in Tuscaloosa or shop online at alumnihall.com. Earn $10 in rewards for every $150 you spend. Roll Tide and shop Alumni Hall. It is our honor to welcome here to Hey Coach, the president of the University of Alabama, Dr. Peter J. Moeller. Great to see you, sir. Glad to have you with us.
Roll Tide.
You
Roll
got
Tide.
that. You got that down really quick. I noticed that at the introductory press conference. We always wonder, when you come from outside the glorious state of Alabama, will they be able to handle that? And by golly, you took care of that really quick.
I grew up in a place called Grand Junction, Colorado, so a huge Broncos fan. So
Right.
my hero growing up was Bobby Humphrey. And so I grew up very early appreciating Alabama football. And in fact, when my oldest daughter, was born, I look back at those pictures, I'm wearing a Bobby Humphrey hat. And, things come full circle in life. And this last weekend, I'm watching a football game with Bobby Humphrey and my son, who y'all get to meet in a few weeks, John, is now a huge fan of his son. And so it's just, what you see around the state is
Right.
DNA of every Alabamian is Alabama. It's Alabama football. Everyone knows tradition. Everyone's basements are painted the same way. Everyone has something in the world that they can get excited about and align with, and that's really special in this world right now.
It is indeed. Speaking of special, the Humphrey family. We all know Bobby, but I'm fortunate to know Barbara as well. She's the really special one in the family, and I say that because Bobby's a friend, and I would make sure that he heard me say that.
Well,
but
and she'll remind him, and in fact, she's a special athlete as well, and
no doubt.
still holds most of the records at UAB for track, and in fact is one of my bosses now on the board of trustees. So
exactly.
We'll say great things about her tonight,
Not a problem.
We're very fortunate to have such a family in our community.
Is that one of the things that you've been able to experience, I guess, in a very short amount of time, is the bloodlines and how they continue to run very, very deeply within this university by generation?
It's true, and and we talk to students out on the quad and in front of Denny Chimes, and we talk to folks in the audience tonight, and everyone talks about my child and me and their father and their grandfather, and everyone has their great Alabama stories. And so we need to make sure that while we continue to grow and we continue to expand, that we honor those traditions that have been established for 198 years at the University of Alabama. So we're so lucky to have a university like Bama. It's so important for us to continue the tradition. Think about what the workforce for the future is going to look like, honor the athletic tradition, but we can't lose track of what made Alabama so special, and that's the people.
And you basically answered the question of what drew you to the university. I know some of the people are on the committee that talked to you, and I sort of say convinced you to come here, but I don't think that was a very difficult thing to do, was it?
It's hard when you're negotiating with someone and they're saying, well, what do you need? And you're so excited, to be part of a community. I came from another university with a large athletics program, and so, I wanted to be a place that had incredible athletics, had an incredible student experience. I mean, we have, and you all know this in the audience, we have the most beautiful campus in the entire country. And so to be able to have students that are excited to be there, that are students that work for a living, they have grit, they want to do something in the world, but then to have this athletics program that is just, the best in the country, and it's going to continue to be that way. So it's super easy to come here.
I've had a couple of conversations with you. I've observed a little bit. You're very steady. Till one moment when you were introduced on the field at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium, you got into it a little bit. You got the arms waving, and you got the crowd into it a little bit.
So I would challenge any Alabama fan, and there's some in the audience tonight, if you had a chance to be out on the field and you're winning, I don't know what the score was at that point, first game on the field, to be on the digital score. I want to make sure Greg doesn't get upset with me. I make sure I say it the right way.
Don't cut into the branding. That's right.
That you all would have been pretty pumped too. And so to be there with my wife of 26 years, who y'all get to meet, Nancy, to be on the Jumbotron, to be winning and kicking some rear, it's hard to not to get too excited. So it's had a blast.
You had a chance to post some things from social media. You've been pretty active the first 2 months at the Capstone. You visited with a lot of the teams and got to know them. I think people forget those athletic teams are truly student groups. I mean, they may have the opportunity in some situations to be a part of other organizations, but that is, in essence, their fraternity and sorority together. So the student groups that you may meet on other sides of the campus, other areas of the campus, the same way. You've met with students that are part of the athletic experience as well at the university.
And we all have an opportunity to see them on the field or on the court or in the gym, but I see them every day walking across the quad. I see them in class. These are special young men and women, and to see them competing their hearts out. I was at the women's soccer game this weekend, and a big 3-0 win over Lipscomb. We had Gianna Paul broke the record for the school record for goals, which was a huge deal. So to see them, as humans, but then to see them, the kids in the restaurant tonight look up to them. It's special, and they appreciate it and they value it. But to see them working so hard behind the scenes, where they're competing, they're practicing for 3 hours a day, but then they're also in school, and I don't think we always acknowledge that as fans and as administrators, and just what a special group of young men and women. And we're so lucky to have them here.
Talk to us about your background a little bit. We always talk about the impact that sports can have on your life, and being a part of a team and being a part of athletics and how it can help you later in life. Did you participate growing up?
Yeah, it's hard to look at me and look at a bald old man and say he played sports, but I grew up in a small town called Grand Junction, Colorado, and I was a big hoops fan and grew up playing basketball. And I think for all of us that grew up in playing sports is a lot like life, as we know, and you got to put in a ton of work. If you don't put in the work and you don't put in the sweat equity, you're never going to get anywhere. You're going to fail a bunch. You're going to lose a lot. But if you're competitive, that you come back and you can pick yourself off the floor and you get back in life and continue to be competitive, continue to work hard, then a lot of things in life work out for you. And so I think for all of us, I think a a lot of our youth growing up today that we can learn a lot about sports, and that's why we encourage our kids to be in sports, encourage all kids to be in sports. You learn respect, learn the value of hard work, and that nothing comes easy.
You referenced that you were at another university. We're going to put this in current terms. We took you out of the transfer portal from Ohio State to the University of Alabama. We got a W in the transfer portal in getting Dr. Moeller here. But talk to us. I mean, obviously they've had great success over the years as well in athletics, not just football. But what does success athletically mean for a university as a whole? I know that's only a piece of it, but how important is that piece to you?
Yeah, I think, being at two great universities and spending time at Alabama, athletics is so important for the University of Alabama, and under my leadership, it will continue to be the front door of the university. It's so important, not only for the student athletes, but for the pride of citizens across the state and around the country, that all, every time you're in the airport, you see you say Roll Tide, everybody says Roll Tide, and so it's more than just what happens in athletics. I would also say that people don't appreciate the brand of the program for bringing students around the state and around the country to the University of Alabama, and so, I'm proud to be a part of this. I would also say that I think Alabama and our athletic director, Greg Byrne, do such a nice job, because it's not just about winning that season. We've seen a lot of athletic programs and football programs go out there and say, we're going to put this team together to win this year and bet the bank. Greg's done such a nice job. Coach DeBoer, Coach Oates, etc. have done such a nice job of building programs that are sustainable with the types of leaders that are going to stick around, that are going to put in the equity, that want to be a part of a program for many, many years. And that's not happening at most other places. So, to the fans out there and the folks in 67 counties, we are very, very lucky that we have a program that's going to be around not only when I'm your president, but when my grandkids are around and being Bama fans. So that's exciting for me.
It's exciting going around the state, too, isn't it? Kind of sharing your vision, but also talking about the university in major cities across the state of Alabama, in addition to around the country.
Oh, it's great. And everyone has a common language, because it doesn't matter when you grow up or how many students, 7,000 students at Alabama or 40,000 students at Alabama. Everybody can tell me who the coach was, who the running back was, where they were during the Iron Bowl. And like, I said it before, it's such a common language, and it's something that brings us all together as a community these days. And that's very, very rare. And so we've got to embrace that, and we have to continue those traditions.
You're not limited to just 2 or 3 floors on this answer, but give me your elevator speech question, or your answer, I guess, about what your vision for the university is and the impact it can have in the future.
I think we have done, and leadership before my presidency has really grown the university to a place where we're fiscally in a very strong place. We have a strong student body. We have great leaders across the organization. Now's the time for us to take some bets and say, we're going after areas that the University of Alabama can really give back to the citizens. And so when we think about areas of economic development, or the development of workforce for nursing or physicians or engineers, we should be the place in the state of Alabama that's developing legends. We talk about legends, but legends for impact, meaning the leaders that are going to define the future therapeutics for the world, or that invent the new advanced manufacturing that turns into a next car company. Or we've heard a lot about the great work in Huntsville and Space Force. We are producing engineers that will be leading these major initiatives, not only for the United States, but for the entire world. And that's special, to be around those students on the quad that are going to change the world. And so we have to continue to be bold, the same way we are in athletics, in our academics, to say we're going to change the world, and it all starts here in Tuscaloosa.
You talked about students, over 42,000 of them now, the largest number in the history of this school. How do you maintain the growth and yet also maintain the feel and fit and personal touch that's needed at a place like Alabama?
You know, it's a great question. It's something that I've spent a lot of nights thinking about is, you know, growth is always good, but when we hear the stories, and we talked about it before I came up on stage, everybody has their own memory, and I am concerned that if we get significantly larger, we're going to lose a lot of that culture, a lot of that faculty to student ratio, the stories. You know, we want to make sure that we're big and we're big enough to be sustainable and to make these big bets, but I want to make sure that we don't lose that culture that has always been a part of our great university, and to make sure that everyone knows each other on campus, and you can have a great relationship with your faculty, and you can have a great relationship with your staff. You know, so we are asking those questions. Is do we want to start thinking about slowing down our growth so we don't lose a lot of that culture? So it's a great question, and those are the questions that we're really trying to answer right now.
All right, last question. You've clearly used Roll Tide correctly. Can you use y'all in a sentence correctly?
So,
and how do you like your grits?
All right, so I married a Southerner. She's from North Carolina, so I know it's a little bit different.
It counts.
But well trained in y'all. You know, I learned, you know, sweet tea very, very early on, and it has to sit a day. And I don't know if that's a thing for you in your family. But you don't drink sweet tea fresh. And then the last thing is you don't eat instant grits, as we all know, right? With some cheese, and you got to feed them fresh. So it's I learned, and I listened to my wife, and that's why I'm still alive.
I say we keep him, folks. He's answered all the tough ones. Dr. Moeller,
Thank you,
an
sir.
honor. Thank you so much for the time.
Roll Tide.
We appreciate it. Roll Tide. Dr. Peter J. Moeller, the president of the University of Alabama, and clearly grit connoisseur as well. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Big thank you again to Dr. Peter Moeller, president of the University of Alabama, for spending some time with us here on Hey Coach. Kalen DeBoer joined us by phone a little bit earlier as well. We've also talked with Alabama women's basketball assistant coach Tennille Adams, and a terrific guard on her team who's healthy and back this year to resume play after missing last season. But Jessica Timmons joined us on the show as well. And coming up in a few minutes, Taylor Bowen from the Alabama men's basketball team, a new member of the roster this year, a transfer for the Crimson Tide. He is a talented forward we're going to learn more about by visiting with him, but also by talking to our next guest. He is a familiar name in face. When I started doing Bama basketball games almost 24 years ago, he was a rising senior coming off of a SEC Player of the Year recognition, and also being an SEC champion under Mark Godfrey and alongside Mo Williams, who was the Freshman of the Year. And now here he is, retired professional basketball player and now special assistant to head men's basketball coach Nate Oates. That's a long intro, but well-deserved for my friend Erwin Dudley.
Oh, thank you.
Great to see you, buddy.
Thank you.
Quite a path from Uniontown.
Yes, sir.
To Tuscaloosa, to where did you play in Europe? Help me.
I played 13 years total. My first year was in Israel, and then after that, the rest of my 12 years was in Turkey. But we traveled, different countries and stuff, so it was pretty fun.
So 13 years professional basketball, and then you come back home, and you're watching a little bit, and you go, I think I might want to get back into this. So, tell us the story.
So the story, my thing was I knew how much time, athletics, how much time, is involved in it. And my biggest thing were, my kids, just, make sure that I was, having some time for them. And, I ended up talking to Coach, and, Coach, he's big on family and stuff. And the perfect thing about us is we practice in the morning time. So if you got something in the afternoon or in the evening, then you can make it. And my daughter, she's huge in volleyball, and so she's had, just this week alone, she's had 3 games already. So I was able to attend all 3 of those games. Whatever versus we had practice in the in the afternoon, I wouldn't have been able to attend. And she has one tomorrow as well. So that was the biggest thing. That was one of the things that kind of sold me on it. And then once I got into it, it was just like riding a bike, just being around the game, and it was fun. And then learning the philosophy of Coach Oates it's been great.
So you started off, and this is among the things that I've always respected about you so much. You've never looked for one thing to be handed to you. You've earned it. They said you were from too small of a school when you came to Alabama, and then you became SEC Player of the Year and SEC champion, and we talked about your pro career as well. But in coaching, you started from scratch as well. You were in a graduate assistant situation. Graduate manager may have even been the initial title while you're working on the academic piece, and at the same time getting on-the-job training for you. Tell me about that process and what that, from a learning standpoint, was like for you.
Honestly, I never thought I'd go back to school. I never wanted to go back to school, but sometimes you have to do things that that you don't think you'll have to do, and I embraced the opportunity. Like you said, I come from just hard work and and just going and trying to work and get what I want. I didn't ask for anything to be handed to me. Just kind of come back from my family. My family's the same way. I grew up working all my life and being able to, use my hands and do things on my own. So, so this right here was just another piece of it. And I think me working hard and me trying to get things on my own, I think that's helped me throughout my entire career, not really depending on other people or relying on people to just give me things, because at the end of the day, you have to, I think most successful people, they work for what they want.
Tell me what it's been like for you to be a part of this program for the last few years and seeing the heights that it's returned to and exceeded, frankly, from even what you guys were a part of as players. And I guess I should be clear, matching what you did when you were a player, but able to make that trip finally to the Final Four and experience that.
Oh, it was an amazing experience. We didn't make it as, I didn't make it, or my team didn't make it as players. But to be on the coaching side of it, it was totally different. You got to kind of feel it from a different side. But it was great. Coach, he's been winning at a high level since he's been here, and he added me to the puzzle. And I just try to bring what I bring to the table, and help with the players and help with the guys, any way that I can. Mainly the bigs, cause I played that position, and so I kind of have a special touch with those guys because, like I said, I played the position for such a long time, and I was pretty successful at it. So it's a blessing to be able to be a part of the program and just kind of, like I said, put my own touch onto it.
What's it like to be able to mix it up a little bit in the post with those guys, but knowing you don't have to turn around and run the floor like they do in this system now?
Hey, it's fun. I wish, I enjoyed my time playing, on the Coach Godfrey, but just if I could turn back the hands of time and go back and actually play in this system, I think it would be fun because, again, for me, it didn't matter if I shot the ball or not. I was pretty good at rebounding, so
Sure.
That's one of the things that I did, and it didn't matter to me. So for me to be able to go and get rebounds and stuff like that, I think I would enjoy it.
You could have gotten the green light though, because you did shoot it pretty well.
Yeah, I could have got the green light. I'm pretty sure I would.
And I could just hear Mark Godfrey if he's listening right now. Hey, Erwin, it ain't like it didn't work out good for you. You were Player of the Year in the league now.
Oh yeah,
it worked out.
I'm not taking away from that, no sir.
No, just it is amazing to see how in the game itself has changed. But what's the most common thing for you that is still the same today as it was when you were on that court as a player?
I think a lot of things have changed. I think for the most part everything has changed. I mean, you still have some guys that, like me, play back to the basket. But a lot of teams, a lot of programs are starting to evolve. With the stretch 4, stretch 5s, where they're able to shoot three pointers and stuff. And so, but you still do have those traditional bigs, they call them. And I don't think that it'll ever get away from that because I know you have different players with different skill sets, that come from different backgrounds and stuff. So I think that position will always be there. But I think that, a lot of people are leaning or trying to do what a lot of other teams are doing, like shooting 3-pointers and trying to have a stretch big.
All right, you've won Player of the Year in the conference. You were a part of an SEC championship team as a player and as a staff member. You've been to a Final Four as a staff member. But here's got to be the highlight of your career. We got a call for you from Pee Wee down in Grand Bay. This is the first time for Erwin to get a call from our traditional first caller. Pee Wee, go ahead for Erwin Dudley.
Hey, Coach Dudley, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. I've spent a lot of time watching you play basketball, sir. It was a pleasure to go watch you just get down there and dominate under the post and at sometimes almost be unstoppable scoring down there. But a question I would have for you, I know we got us a big rim protector last year, so I'm wondering how is that position developing into the year that we're coming into there?
He was talking about having somebody that can dominate around the rim. You had that last year, but how does that look this year?
Well, we got some guys in this year that actually can score, can mix it up and throw their body around. We got a big kid, Collins. He's bigger than what I was when I played. So he's pretty for a freshman. He's real solid. Him, and then we still have Aiden Sherrill. Aiden Sherrill is he's healthy and he's coming back around, and so he's been doing well in practice. And then we have Noah Williamson too. We brought in from Bucknell, and we looking for him also to have a big year for us because again, our bigs, we go as far as our bigs. That's how I look at it. We got really good guards. Probably some of the best in the country, but I think our bigs, whatever we definitely have to step up, our level of play.
Fantastic. Pee Wee, thank you for the call. Erwin Dudley joining us, special assistant to men's basketball coach Nate Oates. and one of their standout players, a guy that expected to be a big part of this team that will challenge for an SEC title again. Taylor Bowen joining us next here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. Hey Coach is presented by Alfa Insurance, auto, home, life, business. Alfa Insurance covers it all. AlfaInsurance.com. Be sure to check us out on the UA Athletics Hey Coach live stream, and you can submit your questions next week for Coach DeBoer on Facebook or YouTube. If you just joined us, Coach DeBoer joined us by phone earlier. As usual, during a bye week, he will be back with us in person next Wednesday night, just ahead of the Tide's trip to Athens to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. But we're talking Bama men's basketball in this segment right now. We've been visiting with Erwin Dudley from the men's basketball coaching staff, but now we're joined by a forward for the Crimson Tide, one of the newcomers in Taylor Bowen. Taylor, good to see you. Welcome. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, I think I know, but I want to hear it from you so that I don't get hammered with this on the air. It's not Taylor Bowl. It's Taylor Bowen, right?
Yeah. Bowl is a surname.
Got you.
Yeah,
all right.
sure.
All right. Good deal. Just making sure we got it right. Tell us about what Tuscaloosa has been like for you since transferring from Tallahassee.
Tuscaloosa has been amazing since I've been here. It reminds me a lot of Vermont. It's just kind of quiet. There's not a lot of going on. You know, I visited other schools that had so much other stuff going on around it, but Tuscaloosa is just a school in UA and the basketball program where we spend most of our time.
You could have gone a lot of places. Why Bama? Why was it a fit?
I think that the program they have here is extremely disciplined. The coaching staff really pushes us very hard every day, and it was definitely going to be the hardest school for me to go to because of what they demand every day. I thought they demanded the most in terms of in the weight room. The attention to detail was by far the best, and I think the coaching staff really has just a high acumen for basketball, and they really have taught me a lot since I've been here.
Coach Dudley, when you have a young man say those things, I'm sure that excites you. You know who and what he is as a talent, but a guy who's not only understanding what's expected, but doesn't shy away from it. I mean, the things he talked about are the reasons maybe some guys may not want to come here and be a part of it. At the same time, if they're not willing to do that, I know you don't want them.
Yeah, it's an honor to coach guys like that. You know, when they want to be coached, they don't mind you getting on to them about certain things. So it's a great feeling as a coach.
Great feeling as a coach and also a guy that can put it in the basket a little bit too.
And block some shots as well.
So again, you seem to be just such a great fit for the system here because you do have the length, the shot blocking capability, but you're not a traditional back to the basket guy. I'm sure you can score that way, but you'd rather face up and do what is asked of you in this system.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's modern basketball nowadays. It's just with how the game's advanced, you don't really see as many back-to-back guys and everything. I'm sure if I played back when Coach Dodd played, I'd have to have some post moves in my bag. But now it's just more about shooting well, creating open threes, and finishing at the rim. And that's just what I do at a high level.
Did that hurt a little bit when he said back there?
Coach Dodd was a problem, though. Don't get it wrong. Coach Dodd was a problem.
They talk about it back when I played, but a lot of them, they still ask me, hey, you got to teach me the post move, teach me the post move.
It's still something that applies from time to time. Tell me about what the competition has been like in practice for you since you've gotten here in Tuscaloosa.
Our team is just so talented from top to bottom. Every day I got to bring it. I think everybody can play and has their days where they're just elite. And I think that having that level of competition just brings a different standard to practice because everybody has to come and compete at their highest level every day. And that's what the coaches want, and that's what they demand.
What's asked of you on the defensive end specifically? Because of your size, are you guarding more traditional bigs or because of the way you can play and sometimes the way Coach Oates chooses to play with multiple bigs on the floor that have those guard capabilities like you do? Are you sometimes out on the perimeter from a defensive standpoint?
For sure. I mean, I guard just about everybody in practice. Switch everybody. I got to guard from the biggest guys to the smallest. And I think that's why I wanted me to come here. And, we played that switching system at Florida State. So I'm kind of used to it, and I'm built to be able to guard guards and guard forwards. That's just how it's so easy for defenses for us to be able to switch and you go from LeBaron to me or to Jalil to me or just guys like that where it's just bigger guards to even bigger guards and bigger forwards, and we're able to guard them, and it really negates what they're trying to get done.
A lot of different names that he's putting out there. We know there's some returning guys back again, Coach Dudley, but a lot of new faces that are going to be a problem for some opposing teams.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that, Coach, when he goes out and recruiting, he bring guys in, he wants guys to come in with high IQ and guys that are talented and that can shoot the basketball. And so, you want to have talent at every position to make it harder on the defense. And, that's one of the things that Coach went out and did. Got guys signed, like he mentioned, Jalil, and then LeBaron. He returned back for another year. And then, of course, we still got Aiden Holloway. Latrell Ricer was getting healthy. He's been playing some 5-on-5 stuff up and down a little bit. So he's been looking really, really good. Mari Allen, he's been playing well in practice as well. And Davion Hanna is, he's been well too. He's been playing some really good defense. So we got a lot of pieces, pieces to put, that we in different combinations that we can put on the court this year.
We'll spend another minute or two with Taylor Bowen and Erwin Dudley next on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. Taylor Bowen, Erwin Dudley, thank you both so much. Sorry, we're up against the clock on this one, but great to have you both here and looking forward to the start of the season here in just a few weeks.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Erwin Dudley and Taylor Bowen from Alabama men's basketball joining us here at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. We come back and wrap it up next on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield. Time should we be back? What's on tap next for Bama is presented by Coors Light. Crimson Tide fans choose to chill with an ice cold Coors Light. Next up for Bama, of course, Kirby Smart's Georgia Bulldogs. Saturday, September 28th, between the hedges at Sanford Stadium in Athens. Crimson Tide Sports Network game day radio coverage will begin at 3:30 Central. That's 3:30 Central with a scheduled kickoff at 6:30. The game on the network will be brought to you by our friends at Visit Pensacola. Also, a special thank you to Christopher Mobley, the preferred luxury clothing provider of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Want to again remind you that if you missed any portion of tonight's show, you can always catch it on demand on our University of Alabama Insider podcast. Download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. The Vice President, General Manager of the Crimson Tide Sports Network is Jim Carabin. Our producer engineer is Tom Stipe. Our studio engineer has been Mason Sapp, and Ethan Carabin is our social media producer. A big thank you to University of Alabama President Dr. Peter Moeller for joining us on the show, head football coach Kalen DeBoer, women's basketball assistant Tennille Adams, and one of her guards, Jessica Timmons, and most recently, Erwin Dudley, special assistant to head men's basketball coach Nate Oates, and also Taylor Bowen a forward on the Crimson Tide coming up this year. We thank you most of all for joining us, everybody. I'm Chris Stewart. Roll Tide and good night from Baumhauer's Victory Grill.